We're excited to have a guest in to talk about tax season because it is here and there are some changes that you can expect, particularly after President Trump signed the tax and spending bill into law last year in July. Joining us today to talk about some of the things you might be able to experience and expect is Lamichelle Hecht, CPA, audit and tax specialist, author, and speaker. And as I said, apparent Wonder Woman. She has a lot of things under her belt, but today we're focusing on taxes. Lamichelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So the first question I want to ask you, for those who aren't aware of the impact that the bill could have filing taxes just for individuals, what are some of the changes they could expect to see?
I would say one of the biggest change is the state and local taxes, where in the past you could only take up to $10,000. And by those taxes, it means taxes you pay on your car, taxes you pay on your income to the state of Virginia, taxes you pay on your home, real estate taxes. The cap was $10,000, the total of all taxes. It is now moved up to $40,000. That is a significant increase. So if you didn't hit the threshold to hit an itemized deduction in the past, this may be the first year that you can actually get over that threshold without even owning a home.
And so that's for individuals. What about small businesses?
So for small business, something great is going on, 100% depreciation, which is something that was not there in the past. So in the past, you could get partial, you can get double, but not 100%. And now they're extending that. So if you got any qualified property or equipment, you can deduct it 100% instead of spreading it over 5, 10, 15, 20 years on your tax return.
Now, for my pocketbooks, can you kind of break down what that means? I mean, you're talking about individual and for those small businesses. What does that mean in terms of what we could potentially either get back or keep?
That means when you're working with your tax professional, make sure you give them all the information, right? Specifically for the equipment and items you purchased. Make sure you also give them the information on your home. Just because you haven't given them those information in prior years because you didn't qualify, tell them how much taxes you paid on your car because you may be able to claim it this year with the new tax law.
And so direct file, we know that there's, if your people are not necessarily going to be using it, how can filers prepare for tax season without it this year?
Yeah, so direct file is when you can file directly without another software for free, and that is going to change. So instead of doing that, you have other ways you can go about it. You can look at the IRS website and see what are the approved softwares you can use to file your taxes, but you could also go to a professional. But I do want everyone to know direct file is only for your federal taxes. So if you're in the state, for example, the state of Virginia, you still need to file the same way you were in the past with the state.
Now, we've done a lot of reporting, and it's been out there that obviously there have been federal cuts. We know the IRS is of those that's been experiencing that over the last year. How could this potentially impact returns and taxes this season?
I would say it could impact a few things. It may cause a delay. I would say lots of times when people file online, you probably won't get a delay because a lot of that is graded through a computer and done through an automated system. If you're in a situation where someone passed away and you have to mail in the return, you could cause delays that way. But another thing I want people to keep in mind is just because there are less staff doesn't mean you have to do less compliance. It may, instead of them maybe taking this much time to find you, they may take a little bit more time, but they will find you. So I would say let's not use this time as a way to not stay in compliance with what we need to do because they tend to always get back to you eventually.
No matter how long it takes,
yes,
they will find you and they will check that information. Okay, a lot of people, you've been giving some great, thank you so much for being here, by the way. You've been giving some great tips. Is there anything else that you would tell people to best prepare ahead of filing this year that may be different from past years?
Yes, another thing I want people to think about is people who work overtime and tips and things like that. Lots of times there are new tax changes with that, and a lot of payroll processing systems are not breaking it out in your W-2. So make sure you get your wage statements from the system so you can break out what is that type of income so you can get those tax savings on overtime and tips, because it's not always going to be something super easy you can pull out of a W-2.
Now, you've been doing this for a while, and I know we're talking about some of the changes this year and how people can, prepare for that. You've been giving great tips for that. But just let's think any year now. What are some of the most common questions that people bring to you and issues that they run into when they're trying to file their taxes or get everything together?
I think the number one thing people want to know is how could they not pay taxes? I think that's the biggest one. But I would say, to me, the easiest way to avoid taxes is use things that are already there for you. So, for example, an FSA, that's a flexible spending account, or HSA. You could save money on that, and that includes things people buy every day. For example, the glasses I have on, toothpaste. You could save taxes by buying those items by simply using the products offered by most employers, and also you can have those products within your own business. That would be one of the big tips I think a lot of people don't think about that I like to bring to their attention, that you don't always have to have a catastrophic health issue to need an FSA or HSA. You can use it for everyday products.
And I just learned something for myself. I did not know that, and I use toothpaste every day. Every single day, twice a day, to be honest with you, I'm using it. That is
I
something
hope so.
new. And floss. I promise I do. What are some of the problems that people face? I mean, you talked about the question, how can I save money? But what are some of the common issues that you often see that you're having to help people through?
I would say the biggest issue I see is non-compliance and not having everything together to give to me. So sometimes they get letters, not just me, other professionals they use, or if they did it themselves, and they're getting letters in the future from the IRS. And when the IRS mails you, they're going to have interest, penalties, everything. So I would say the biggest thing is making sure you're organized. Every document you get, keep. And you could even log in on the IRS website and pull your own info, with your social security number and stuff, so you know what information they have, to make sure maybe it's not something out there that you didn't receive in the mail or that you didn't get an email about that the IRS could have, to make sure all of your information is accurate. Because no matter what you say, they're always going to cross-reference it to what they have on file. And if it's not the same, if they owe you a refund, they may not reach out. But if it's not the same and you owe them money, they will reach out. So I would say get ahead of it. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And you may not even owe them money. It may be something where it's a mistake and we can fix that. But I think that's the biggest thing, is really having all your documents, especially in a digital world where sometimes you don't get an email, you don't get something in the mail. It may just be in a portal somewhere and you don't even think to look for it.
That was going to be my follow-up question, because I remember my parents having all of these papers and papers and papers. I just don't have time for it. And you think about, we're in this digital age. Do you have any suggestion in your expertise on the best way to catalog that information, to keep it together? Because we know sometimes it can. I mean, and then how far back should I keep the paperwork?
I would say a minimum 7 years, because that's the statute of limitations. But also, I'm going to start with small businesses and nonprofits. The best way is, I would say, use an accounting software. Do not do it in Excel. Do not do it by hand. Pay the money to use the software. It is worth it. And in all cloud-based softwares, you can attach every receipt, every invoice in the software. I think that's the easiest way. And even some of them, you could take a picture of the receipt in real time and have it attach it. I think that's the way you can do it to keep all your documents. And for individuals, I kind of believe the same thing. Have a folder on your computer, keep all the documents there. And on the IRS website, if you set up an IRS account, once all the documents are sent to the IRS, all of your stuff is in one place in the IRS website. So you can log in, at least as a business, not always, because they don't have all of your expenses and things. But as an individual, you can log into the IRS website and pull all of your W-2s, your 1099s, your 1098s, etc. in one place.
All right, these are some great tips. Hopefully people are learning from them. We have Lamichelle Hecht, who is a CPA audit and tax specialist. Any last suggestions you would have for people as they are getting their things together to file for this year?
Yes. My one last suggestion is, don't forget about charity. Sometimes we donate $1 here, $1 there. Those things can add up. Make sure you have that information together. Because of the tax changes, you may be able to claim charity this year if you didn't hit the threshold in prior years.
Good stuff there. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us today. And I certainly hope that somebody out there watched this and you were able to learn. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, maybe they need some help and assistance, Lamichelle, how can they do that?
I can be found on all social medias under Overhead Solutions Group, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Lamichelle Hecht, CPA MBA. Send me a request. I will accept.
All right. You got it there. Reach out. I hope they reach out to you for sure. In doing so, thank you so much, Lamichelle, for being here. And I'm sure this is a busy season for you, too, with it being tax season. So we appreciate you carving out the time and joining us. All right, we're going to take another quick break, but we'll be right back with more Live Impact News.